Hello traders and welcome to Flow with the Markets Wednesday. As you know, in this video we're just gonna jump into the market right now and see what happened on Monday and Tuesday, and of course potentially what could be happening today and for the rest of the week. I chose to do this outlook on Wednesday because Tuesday we were just getting some news being released, so I really wanted to wait for that to get a more cleaner bias of what could potentially be happening in the markets. And right now it is getting a little bit cleaner. But pretty much, let's get into it, keeping it very short, very simple, and straight to the point. Alright, so starting with the Dixie, overall, I had a wrong expectation this week, and also my intraday bias yesterday was also wrong. I am so far have taken 2 half losses, so half because again, was not entirely clean, or I just decided to kind of try to see the setup to see if it's gonna go, but it usually doesn't go, and that I don't add the other half. So tricky. We have moves, but still tricky. So having a look at the dollar again, guys, make sure to be checking your news. Today we have GDP for the US. Today we have GDP for the US. We have CPI for Germany, which is gonna definitely shade the market. We have a couple of speeches from the Fed. Yesterday we had a lot of speeches as well. And I do believe tomorrow we have the Euro news paired with PCE right there, jobless claims, a lot of stuff. And I think there was also Powell speaking somewhere, but I'm not sure exactly where. So watch your economic calendars. Now, what I was expecting is on Monday for the market to, first of all, fill this imbalance right there on the forward time frame and to drop lower, which is exactly what happened. But of course, that happened overnight, so we couldn't really catch it. But then, of course, the market pulled back right there during New York on Monday and it dropped. So that was a potential clear setup. And then, of course, from here, I was expecting for the market to go all the way into that weekly imbalance, which again, the market just opened right now and it looks like it's dropping. So I would say that this one, we can definitely keep this one there, but it's no longer very relevant. What the hell am I doing? So let's see what is happening right now. Again, just zooming in on the forward time frame, we have a very fresh break of structure right there. You know the drill. We have a very fresh supply zone right there. We have a very nice imbalance right there that the market is currently being filled. And if you also refer to the daily time frame, we just took out a very nice daily low to the left. So again, the market sought the liquidity. We took the liquidity, and you can see we're having around 4 days of bearishness. So again, today, it does make a little bit more sense for us to start pulling back. We also do have a imbalance on the, no, this one is balanced. We have imbalance here on the daily. We have a very big daily range, but we also have a big forward range. And I got this question on a recent comment, like, what do I do when I have 2 ranges, like daily and forward time frame? Well, decide which time frame is your higher time frame, or just be aware of both, right? So I know that if the market does not respond from the forward imbalance and from the forward zone, it's going to respond from the daily. So then, of course, I'm going to be observing what is going to be happening there. Now, this morning we were pretty low, which is why I played a low risk long on GU, as I'm going to show you. And again, you can see we had a little bit of a gap. But then the market opens again. I would say that the lower high was here that caused the break. Right now we're making a trend change. Of course, that is going to be our demand zone. And the market is driving towards that imbalance on the forward. So what I'm going to say is right now we have to be really careful. And just to evaluate, is the market going to tap here and continue going lower? Or, as I told you on the daily, is it going to seek potentially some daily imbalance and a daily pullback and then potentially go lower? Again, we have very important news tomorrow. So what I tell you right now is most likely not going to happen because of news and because of pretty much the nature of the market. But again, this is how I'm currently positioned into the market, looking to trade a pullback potentially. But also, as soon as the market taps inside this imbalance right there, I'm going to start looking for shorts on the DXY, which means longs on EU. Now, here's my expectation on EU. I was expecting for it to take out the daily high and then to rush all the way down into the weekly imbalance, which, looking at it right now, it does not make a lot of sense. But what I was expecting is an overall kind of a nice bearish week, or a nice bearish at least weekly wick, to then potentially look for the longs. But no, the market just opened. Monday was very, very, very choppy. Then Tuesday opens, kind of also a little bit choppy. And then pretty much during New York session, that is when we started rolling, creating that daily break of structure and also creating like this demand zone right there. We have a very nice PD range right here. We have a very nice imbalance right there. So again, similar to the DXY, I will be looking for longs right now as we pull back below the 50% and as we're going to be tapping inside the demand zone and the imbalance. However, again, where is the market overall on the daily? Well, again, it's pretty high. We've taken this high, but we already got the reaction. We filled the imbalance, we rushed higher, and pretty much the next high is this guy right there. This guy right there. So again, like, is the market going to continue massively, or is it going to start pulling back again? You can see this weekly imbalance is still there, but again, not always the market is going to pull back to that immediately. So let's see. I'm gonna stay longs for now. This morning the market was slightly bit tricky. It kind of gave an Asian session low manipulation, reacted, but then of course it pulled back into the 50-minute supply zone. But it didn't really provide a clear 1-minute entry, so I didn't take this short. And right now we're just pulling back very nicely towards that zone. Yesterday manipulated the low again, but then it was super choppy. There was a trend change here. Maybe if you just plot a buy order right there somewhere and just stop loss below, you would have won. But to me, again, there wasn't really a clear zone. Like if you want to take this zone, for example, yes, there was no entry. So again, sometimes the best entries are just to, if you have a clear bias, to just put a buy, save stop loss, and then the market goes. So yeah, as we pull back right now, we'll be looking to see how it's going to tap inside the imbalance. And if it starts giving me 15-minute and 30-minute alignments from that 4-hourly zone, I will be looking for longs. If it crashes lower, then of course we have to adapt. Euro yen. So yeah, again, you can see fully wrong bias. I thought that it's going to go to the daily highs. 4-hourly time frame was bullish. Was looking for either for a potential liquidity gap and a go, or from the higher low demands to go. But no, the market just crashed lower. Why? Well, most likely, I don't monitor UJ intraday, but most likely UJ shifted the bias, because what I see, EU is pumping higher, but EJ is going lower. So that is definitely because of USD yen, most likely. Right now, this is our 4-hourly lower high. This is our supply. So right now, if the market didn't make a higher high from this low, then that is most likely liquidity. So that is going to be my next potential liquidity target. What I see happening right there is that we have a little bit of an imbalance right there that got filled on this candle, reacted, failed, continue pushing lower. So again, if we come back in here a little bit deeper, once again, guys, lower time frame confirmation from here, I'm going to be looking for shorts. Right now, it's still within the Asian range, so absolutely choppy. So again, we gotta wait for the news. Most likely it's going to go then. But short bias on EJ. Again, you can see even on Monday, no matter what I said on Saturday, yeah, Monday actually reacted. So maybe you take a long. Immediately trend change, immediately making like, yeah, this is not a valid lower high to me, right? But immediately broke the low, retested lower high, and then it dumped, right? So I no longer look for longs because I had a trend change, right? Bearish bias right now, going on to Aussie dollar. So we have a lot of news on Aussie dollar. We had the interest rate today for NZD, I believe. Let me just double check. I think we had the Wednesday. I don't see it anymore, but yeah, I do think we had Australian or New Zealand monetary policy today. So daily high, Aussie dollar keeps pumping. So what was my breakdown here? Did I actually have a breakdown? No, I have bullish. But yeah, again, you can see this was the last higher low. The market broke up, pulls back on Monday, creates a higher low, and then since then we have been impulsing very strongly, making a 4-hourly break of structure here, and then making a 4-hourly break of structure here. Like that's a really clean bullish market. And again, I have been thinking to start monitoring other pairs than EU and GU, because you can see in this case, absolutely clear, just daily break, higher low, higher high, higher low, right? Reacting from imbalance here, push, another one, reacting, push, right now another potential one. But the higher it goes, the lower the probability becomes, because you can see we actually took out this high. The market didn't react as much. That is the next one. But again, the market took liquidity. So right now I would expect some sort of an imbalance fill. And of course, you can refer to that daily little imbalance right there, which is the only one. So I would say overall longs for Aussie dollar. But again, keep in mind, we have been making higher highs and higher lows for quite a long time. And usually the market tends to grab some liquidity in the form of a trend change. And then potentially it goes like this. So this is something that I would expect, either a liquidation into daily imbalance and then a continuation, or potentially for the market to continue going higher. Again, currently the narrative is pretty much bearish dollar and bullish everything, but that can very quickly change. Now this one, again, the JPYs, you see Aussie dollar extremely bullish. Aussie JPY bearish. Why? Well, because of USD JPY. And this is usually the wrong time to be looking to trade JPYs when there is really when the correlation doesn't make sense. Because right now you can try to take something, but you're just gonna get chopped out. All right. So I'm gonna say this one will potentially be a skip. You can see I have this little imbalance marked right there. The market is actually pulling back into it right now, which is the last daily imbalance. We're tapping inside. But as we come inside, the market is shifting bearish on the 4H. This is the most recent forward break of structure lower. So again, you can see it's 50-50. Structure is bearish. Momentum is bullish on the daily. So again, what do? Well, tough question, right? I mean, if I drop on the 50-minute time frame, you can see how it develops overall. You see overall consolidation, moves down, consolidation again. So again, avoid trading JPYs when the USD pair is not in alignment with USD JPY. You can see again NZD USD. So we had more of a long. Okay, so this one actually played out. So there is at least one setup that actually played out. We were sitting at a high. So then I told you there is a forward imbalance, pulls back into the imbalance, rejected it. And then since then, it has been going crazily to the upside. But again, actually knowing that there was an interest rate decision, it wouldn't have developed like this. But you can see it actually started happening even before the interest rate decision. The interest rate was today. Let me just double check if it's actually today. Yeah, there it is. 5.5. So they kept it the same, which is usually, a bearish reaction. So right now it is pulling back. This is our 4-hourly break. This is our 4-hourly demand zone. We do have a lot of imbalances. The first one is pretty much getting engulfed right now. So we can be looking for the second one that is in alignment with the demand zone. And yeah, eventually we can be looking for something like this if, of course, the sentiment doesn't change, because again, things like this happen. So that is what we have currently. And as for a pullback trades, you do not want to trade on interest rate day. So again, there is your interest rate, whoop, massive bullish, whoop, massive bearish right now. So again, don't trade. The market is still staying within the Asian range. So again, you don't want to operate inside that, especially if London doesn't take it. So that is a skip. And yeah, NJ is most likely going to be tough. Yeah, so this one filled in the daily imbalance we marked and then chopped until the interest rate. So this one is a proper development for an interest rate week, because usually chops until the release. So it actually tapped in daily imbalance and on Monday, Asian session. And then since Monday all the way until tonight, it was chopping. Then it made the move, attacked the daily liquidity. And right now, again, it's a very big question whether it's going to hold from that demand zone that also formed with imbalance, which is good, or it's going to start reversing to be taking some liquidity to the lows. Because yeah, daily does look like a nice liquidation above this high. So let's see how this daily candle is going to close, and let's see if the forward time frame is going to hold. So then we can have a better judgment. Again, USD pairs are a skip for me, and this is why. There is UJ bullish on the 4H, but it pulled back on the daily, and right now is just rocking to the downside. So there is your daily low. We thought it's liquidity, we thought it's going to be reversing, but no, it just pulls back lower high. And right now it's making a new lower low on the daily time frame. It has already formed imbalance, which again suggests momentum. It's most likely going to form another one today if we actually close like this. And yeah, 4-hourly time frame, there is our 4-hourly lower high. We also do have imbalance right there, so the market is currently pulling back towards this. And of course, we can expect for it to roll down if the overall narrative continues. But this is the narrative, it's bearish, so this is what I'm going to be looking for. Let's see in terms of the 50-minute time frame right now, similar to the DXY, it is trending above. It just took out the Asian high, so wait for it to come a little bit deeper. And then of course, as soon as you get a 15-minute or a 30-minute or a 1-hourly trend change, whatever you actually like using as your middle time frame, then of course you look for that alignment. In this case, it will look something like this, and then potential to go lower and catch it all the way towards the Asian low, which is pretty much that daily low. But of course, today it could be a pullback day, because we just took liquidity. Again, watch out what is taken and where the market is going. We just took out the daily low. So usually we can have like 1 day, even 2 days of a pullback, and then to potentially roll down. You can see exactly the same here. We had taken liquidity below this low, and even this low. And then of course the market had 1 day right there, 2, 3, even 4 before the flush. Okay, so be patient. Okay, GU. GU is tricky, and I got this one wrong. Well, I didn't get it wrong. I just got a little bit too obsessed of wanting to see a retest of imbalance. Again, being studying imbalance right now for very little time. Probably I'm doing it wrong, but again, I'm gonna keep learning. So what we had created on Tuesday, or actually on Monday, was this imbalance right here. So I thought that we're gonna have a bullish week, but what I wanted to see is for Wednesday, or for Tuesday yesterday, to tap inside this and then to get a big long. So that was my bias. That was my bias. And of course, the target to the left on the daily is this guy, which we haven't reached yet, right? Also, we had this very nice daily demand zone right there, which I thought we were just gonna wick below here, maybe take the imbalance, tap inside the daily zone, and then I was gonna go long. So what I ended up doing, okay, I just jumped on the 15-minute, actually wanting to show you, but let's first have a look on the 4H. Now, here is currently how the market looks like. We just broke structure to the upside here. We have this demand zone, and right now, again, what the market is doing, it is pulling back where, well, potentially to fill this imbalance and to tap inside the zone before, hopefully, continuing to the upside. We can say I have an alert here at the 4-hourly imbalance to see how it's going to respond in New York, and then hopefully to take a long trade. So that is the bias. That is the bias on GU. We'll be looking for something like this if, of course, the week would like to continue, and if that is not the weekly high, because again, Tuesday or even Wednesday tends to form the weekly high and low. So yeah, yesterday I was pretty much looking again for a sweep of this, which was Monday's Asian session low, and the trade that I took was this short, but it was low risk. Low risk, why? Well, because we started the day by taking out the Asian low, and that is immediately decreasing the probability for me for taking a short trade. Because again, I'm gonna go full risk if it takes Asian high, right, first, and then it gives me a short, not Asian low and then a short. So that is a trade I took here, small risk, half loss. And yeah, then the market, again, I thought it's gonna take London low, I thought it's gonna go lower in New York, but no, it just news came out and it just massively pushed. And again, this to me is not an entry, it was a 30-minute zone right there. But again, from a 30-minute zone, you could wait for a 5-minute trend change, so your entry could have looked something like this. From here, 20 pip stop loss would look a little bit too big for me. I mean, in hindsight, if I knew it's gonna go for 100 pips, maybe I could have taken it, but at the moment I thought it's just gonna take like Asian high and start rejecting, but no, it massively ran higher. So this is where we are right now, and the trade I took today was again low probability trade, but again, it's based on one of my models with the Asian ranges, right? Took out the Asian low. Okay, what is wrong with this Asian's low right there? Why is it not taken? Okay, that is strange right there. This is FXCM, so it should be taken. Right now, it's not. Okay, guys, this is so strange. Something is wrong with the timing of my indicator here. Well, technically, this was an Asian low breakout, right? I'm not sure what changed right now, because this one pretty much invalidates the setup. And on my charts, this was an Asian low break. There was a nice 5-minute trend change, and pretty much I took the trade from here. Stop loss was below, targeting the Asian high, thinking that we could potentially continue with the yesterday's strength. However, half risk. Why? Well, because of the position. It was way too high right there, and I would expect that 4-hourly pullback. So again, I played the trade, half risk, good. Right now looking for something else, and again, playing those half risks just to get a feeling of if it's going to respond. Because as soon as it actually retested this imbalance right there, it threw a nice punch into the highs. However, it retested 15-minute structure, which was bearish, which again immediately kind of gives me a little bit of a resistance right there. So I didn't even manage to, no, I actually took the trade from here. So I didn't even get another one right there because it was a low probability. So that is GU right now. That is GU right now. I'm going to explore. Probably my Asian range settings are wrong right there. 23. Yeah, I think I have it from... I have it from midnight. From midnight and until 7, not until 8. Yeah, so something like this. Again, it's debatable the exact Asian session range. I'm currently trying to really stop on one because I've been playing with it, but it doesn't matter. Now, GJ, we thought it's gonna liquidate and react and keep pushing higher, but no, it broke lower, lower high, lower low. So structure in this case prevailed after taking the daily high. We can of course start pulling back towards the daily imbalance, which we did. I mean, we did, and we are still responding from that right there. We still haven't closed below it, but again, the 4-hourly time frame structure is bearish right now, and that is what I don't like, is because I would like to see the daily or the 4-hourly to align with the daily. This is when you get the high probability setups. So again, to me, a high probability long trade will look something like this, right? But of course, right now we're tapping inside. how am I doing? Inside of 4-hourly supply zone. So 50-minute is bullish. So again, if you want to take a short trade, you should be looking for a 50-minute bearish alignment. But I would be skeptical once again because daily is bullish, tapping inside that imbalance, pulling us back very nicely on the daily 50% as well. So the positioning is very good for a long trade. So if there is such a situation, I would even actually focus on getting a long trade on the 50-minute without waiting for the 4-hourly time frame to align, because by the time the 4-hourly aligns, well, maybe it could be too late. So let's see how this one is going to go. I have more bullish macro outlook on GJ, but of course we need to see a clear setup. So make sure to wait for your trading plan and entry models. So again, DXY going down, gold just rallied into the highs. Again, we were very close to this liquidity high. The market just broke it, chopped around, news came out on Tuesday, and we rallied. Not any clear pullback. Again, we were expecting a break and a pullback, or a break retest and a pullback. Yeah, this third scenario kind of worked out, but again, to me, don't trade gold. So dropping onto the daily, well, we're getting pretty close to all of these liquidity areas. Massive impulse on the daily time frame. It is creating a lot of imbalances right there, which is a good thing, but when you get a lot of them, usually it doesn't pull back to neither of them, right? Like the most recent one is here. It's most likely going to form one today. And if today forms an imbalance, then of course the day after, we can be looking for a quick tap and then a continuation higher. So right now on the 4-hourly time frame, it is high. Again, also basing it on the 4-hourly structure. This is the 4-hourly higher low overall. Massive push up. So I would personally be looking for a pullback, or maybe wait for today to close to form that imbalance. And if it looks something like this, tomorrow we open, tap inside the 50%, tap inside the imbalance, and then potentially continue going higher. So bullish bias on gold as long as the DXY or the dollar remains with the current momentum. Indices, no trades on the indices. Still tricky. We're starting to exit the consolidation. So there is US 30 having a 4-hourly break of structure, having a 4-hourly demand zone, having a slight tad bit of an imbalance right there. But so far it's still not clear. I mean, yesterday popped up, pulled back down, and right now it's chopping around. So I'm still waiting for New York session today, and I'm still looking for clear buys, because this is what we have overall. And like even since last week, like Wednesday, after we kind of made this push pullback and a push, since then it got pretty choppy. So I'm looking for some sort of a disruption on the daily, like a nice daily push, nice daily 4-hourly, or nice daily or 4-hourly structure, which we don't have yet so far. Nasdaq is still within the range, like didn't really do anything. It's not pulling back to the weekly imbalance. Might actually go ahead and break this 4-hourly high right there. It's not breaking the 4-hourly low. Actually responded from the 4-hourly higher low. Again, tapped it once, pulled back, tapped it twice. Right now pushing up, and actually it does look like it's pushing up with some momentum right there. Hasn't yet created imbalance, but again, pushing very nicely. Today, again, I find it hard to forecast what could be happening today. So again, on the New York Open, we're gonna sit down and see what we could have. But again, in terms of structure, it is still consolidating. It is still trading in the middle of this range. So nothing clear. And SPX, I mean, yeah, SPX did have more of a bullish bias, because we had this clear breakup, tap, reaction, tap inside the zone, which is what we expected, and it actually reacted. So this one was clear. I was honestly looking to long it, but I look to trade indices after New York Stock Exchange, and pretty much the zone was tapped at 15 o'clock, and I want to trade after 16:30, and I want to see the liquidation happen on 16:30. So I wanted to see one more drop, and then if it gave me an alignment, I would have went for it. But again, it just opened 16:30, bearish move. I thought it's gonna break, but no, it just held, expanded. Then later it pulled back, but again, I don't want to be trading here. It's too late for me, 8 o'clock. I don't trade at that time. So no trades on the indices so far. Right now, it looks like it wants to pop up. It is actually just breaking the 4-hourly structure. So I have to update my personal analysis as well. Breaking the 4-hourly structure very nicely. Again, you want to track if there are some imbalances. There is one little one, which always suggests that there is momentum into the market. So if we have something like this, I would be looking to long, because we're starting to pick up a little bit of steam. So let's see for how long that is gonna go. So that is pretty much for today, guys. I mean, DXY is pulling back, but we really have to see if it's gonna hold from the 4-hourly zone, or if it's going to pull back on the daily. Why? Well, because we took out another daily low as liquidity here. daily lowest liquidity, and I would expect maybe 1 or 2 days of a pullback and then to potentially roll over. So if the DXY right now is shifting a little bit of sentiment to bullish, of course, EU is going to give a pullback, but of course, we're still long bias on the pairs, just looking for that pullback into the imbalance and then potentially longs. The JPYs, I would say skip them for now because there is a crack of correlation between the USDs and the JPYs, and usually this is when the JPYs are not going to work out. Again, Aussies, the Aussie and NZD made big highs. Right now pulling back, so is it going to respond from this demand zone? Well, of course, we're going to see. Always make sure to monitor your daily and the hourly, because if your 4 hourly zones get disrespected, then most likely the market is pulling back to something on the daily. GU as well, very nice push. Right now retracing on the push, so is it again going to form some sort of support and demand from this zone? We're going to see New York or maybe tomorrow. And yeah, that is pretty much it so far. Gold also same thing, pulling back in indices. I'm still looking for a little bit more clarity on the indices, and yeah, personally working on backtesting right now, working on studying about imbalances and fair value gaps, looking how to implement them in my plan to better my hard time frame analysis as well, and also to understand them a bit better and why they form. And yeah, so this is pretty much what I'm up to. My risk is overall decreased, and I'm probably going to be trading with low risk until the end of the year, because again, it's ending and the market is starting to get a little bit tricky. It has been tricky pretty much for some weeks, but again, no reason to complain, because there are always people killing it. And of course, if you're not, then of course this is your responsibility. Don't blame it on the market. So that's for me, guys. Hope you're doing great. Hope you're having a great start of your week. Let me know how you're doing, and I'm gonna talk to you on Saturday. Trade safe and talk to you then.